I'm Alec. I'm a partner of KPMG based in London. I lead our financial risk and regulatory practice and also our balance sheet optimization and treasury centers of excellence. Well, I was trying to work that out, and I think this is my 16th. So I'm hoping that I'll get a prize when I get to 20. Well, everyone globally is here. It's one of the few places that everyone gathers and you can really meet easily, network, find the latest trends, and hear from some serious keynote speakers at the same time. Well, I think there are a couple really, and it does vary region by region. But effectively, all banks are going to have some more capital charges to deal with, so be a little less profitable. So have to think about how they optimize. And I think secondly, the major thing is how you deal, particularly as an advanced bank, with the output floor. And that requires an entirely different way of thinking and managing your balance sheet, because it's no longer a single asset sum game. Rather, you have to look at the entirety of the portfolio view at the top of the house. So that requires different disciplines and more centralized control. Well, let's start with the US, because that's probably the easiest or the most difficult. We don't know. So we know what the Powell proposed. We know that everyone hated it, largely, I think, because the US banks didn't have Basel III implemented. They used CCAR instead, so it's a big step change for them. And we know that something is going to be watered down. Whether it's watered down, just watered down, or to zero, we don't know yet. Depends a little bit on the November election. I think the direction of travel in other jurisdictions is clear. Canada's implemented, for example, Basel III, so we know what that is totally. The UK is 90% of the way there, with some clarifications waited for. And Europe is also 90% of the way there. The only question, I think, around European implementation of Basel III really is if they react to a US non-implementation. So President Macron last week suggested that Europe might delay implementation if the US did not on a fairness basis. Personally, I think that's a bit unlikely, but you can't rule it out totally. So the growth of SRT is one, for sure. If I remember, it was not even on Global ABS's panel for many years. About 2 years ago, we had a panel and we had a room full, and now half the conference seems to be SRT. So that would be one. I think two will be the fact that Europe is really thinking about capital markets union seriously for the first time. And I think that will help ABS issuance across the region and help funding some of the challenges that Europe has in particular at the moment. And I think the third is that securitization has really come out properly now, especially with the US and the change of the Fed's change of Reg Q at the end of last year, in terms of both synthetic and cash being accepted by most regulators around the world.